Look at a busy city intersection, and you're seeing thousands of tiny, individual decisions happening all at once. How do we actually figure out the underlying rules that guide how we all live together? Usually, we trust our common sense. We use our own personal experiences to explain why the world works the way it does. But our personal gut feelings can be wrong. For instance, you might think something like suicide is a purely private, individual choice. But when we look at the facts, we see it follows clear patterns, happening more or less often depending on how connected people feel to their communities. Our common sense is often too local and too biased to see these larger patterns. Because society is always moving and shifting, we need a reliable way to check our assumptions. We need a system that builds its ideas on facts we can actually prove. That system is sociological research. It's a specialized way of looking at the world that goes far beyond a simple guess. To get a clear picture, researchers use 4 main methods: the quantitative, the qualitative, the historical, and the comparative. These aren't just labels. They are different angles that help us see patterns in society that aren't obvious at first glance. Using these 4 specific views allows us to turn a vague idea about how the world works into real, objective knowledge. First, there is quantitative research. Think of this like a drone flying high above a city to map out the big picture. This animated chart shows the goal: taking a huge amount of information from thousands of people and turning it into a clear pattern. By looking at numbers on this scale, we can prove what is happening across an entire country. But while our drone view is great at showing us what is happening, it's not as good at explaining why it's happening. To understand the why, we need qualitative research. This is our magnifying glass, a way to see the world from the people's perspective. Instead of just looking at spreadsheets, researchers might spend months living in a neighborhood or sitting down for long, personal conversations to understand why people act the way they do. This tradition of deep, personal observation comes from early researchers like Franz Boas, who spent years living within different cultures to understand their specific ways of life. The quantitative view maps the broad structure of our world, while the qualitative view helps us understand the lived experience of the people inside it. But we also have to remember that our current society didn't just appear out of nowhere. To understand today's world, we use the historical method, our time machine. This is a page from the 1851 census. By examining these old records, researchers see how society used to be organized. Studying these details allows us to see how our laws, families, and jobs have changed over time. Finally, we use the comparative method, our split-screen view. This is how we test our theories to see if they hold up. Here, we look at 2 similar societies side by side. If we change just one specific detail in the first society, like a new law, and see a major change that doesn't happen in the second, we can prove that detail was the cause. Emil Durkheim used this exact approach to prove that social problems have specific, identifiable causes that we can find if we look closely enough. The historical view shows us the path that led to today, and the comparative view proves the rules that make society work. These 4 ways of seeing work together. When we use them at the same time, we get a complete picture of our world. To answer big questions, we might use numbers to find the scale of a problem, history to see where it started, and personal interviews to understand the human side. This takes us far beyond our own limited experiences and our local assumptions. So, the next time someone claims that a complex problem is just common sense, remember that there is a way to see the truth. You just have to check the facts for yourself.